The weekend is winding down, and a new week, a work week anyway, is about to begin. And we're going to take a look at the week ahead, the long range, and the tropics. And I'm sure we'll be talking about other subject matters at hand right here on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. You can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Shop our referral link to Amazon. That's on the descriptor to this podcast. Just look on YouTube right under the title of the show, and you can get the link. Just search for your stuff and shop, and Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. It doesn't cost you 1 cent out of your own pocket, and it's an easy way to keep the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast live version free of commercial interruption. And also, Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system, and you too can be part of the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is not only on the descriptor to this podcast, but it's pinned to the top of the chat board. And if you purchase this or anything else from the Tempest website, because they have so many electronics, gadgets, and gizmos, use the coupon code SUMMER2025. Because if you do, you will get
10% off. Anything.
Yeah.
Anything that Tempest sells, 10% off.
That's a lovely cerulean shirt you have on.
Yeah, okay. I will not stand up and show the rest because I would be afraid that we would get penalized on YouTube. Or maybe get in YouTube jail or whatever.
So don't do it.
No, I'm not going to do it. But
okay, so there you go.
You can imagine.
I'm sure I could. So, your weekend was okay?
The weekend has been fine, and my daughter and daughter-in-law are probably right now sitting in their seats at MetLife Stadium for a Jonas Brothers concert. I said to both of them, I said, you know, I can understand if you were in your teens or 20s, but you're in your 30s now, for goodness sake. I mean, like, what the heck? But they're there, they're enjoying themselves. So
one day, Joe, they'll get to the age where they'll know why 9 o'clock is a nice bedtime.
Well, I presume, you know, my grandson, my son and my grandson were here and had dinner with us and, you know, ran around the house for a little while. And now they are home. And I presume my grandson is nighty-night sleepy time. That 7:30 is his time to go to bed. And I hope that right now he's watching the Inside the Eyelid show. And you look like you have had a nice weekend.
Yeah, I didn't do very much. I did some yard work today. I watered. You know, I was looking so far here in North Georgia in this month. So we're 10 days into it. I've only been above 80 degrees on 2 of those 10 days for daytime highs. I mean, it's just been really, from a temperature standpoint, it has been phenomenal for the first 10 days of this month. And truthfully, you know, if it's 80 degrees, the dew points are probably running in the mid 60s or maybe a little higher, but you just don't feel it. It just does feel pretty comfortable outside.
It got to 93 here at my house today, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing even Central Park got to 90, 91 in Newark. Mm-hmm. So it was a hot day, but at least the humidity was down still, so it was not oppressively hot, but still hot.
Yeah, and your dew points they're coming up, but they're coming up in very slow stair-step fashion.
And right now, the satellite picture, and I'm sure you'll show it to us in a few moments, we've got this rather unusual band of mid to high level cloud cover.
Well, I'll show it. Since you're talking about it, I'll show it now.
It's an arc of mid to high level cloud cover streaming in from the northeast and moving across our area. The clouds are moving across the region from east to west. And, yeah, it's interesting.
All right, well, you know what I was trying to show you. It wasn't letting me.
It's not letting you.
No, it did now. I got it. So there you have it. Let me just get the picture centered. Yeah, it's a little hard to see on the last few. It kind of looks kind of funny. The high cloud stream is like a tail that runs from Newfoundland across Nova Scotia to northern New Jersey and northern Pennsylvania. They're like almost like little cloud. They're little lines of streaks just going by.
I was saying to myself I thought it was supposed to be a beautiful night coming up, clear skies, moonlit skies, or whatever. I'm saying, now where the heck did these clouds come from? And so I looked at the satellite picture, and well, now I know where they're coming from.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. You don't often see high clouds coming in from the northeast.
Right, and there's really you say to yourself, well, it looks like some kind of a trough or an upper level system that the cloud, but no, it's in fact, if anything, there's high pressure.
Yeah, it's
High
coming.
pressure.
It's moving anticyclonically.
Right, right,
Ve-
and there you
ve-
go.
Very, very bizarre. But we live in a bizarre world where bizarre things are happening. And speaking of the bizarre, we can't accuse anybody on the chat board of being bizarre. Welcome tonight to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And for those of you who are lurking in the background, we welcome you too on this wonderful Sunday night. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep your notifications turned on so you don't miss us. Sunday through Thursday at 7:35. Friday and Saturday are off days. If you like the show, hit the like button. And it's important this coming week, Joe, because we do have, and I will switch the satellite loop to the tropical Atlantic, because we do have. Now, I want to put this. Here's the thing, because you know as well as I do, and it started late last week. As soon as models start picking up on this, all this social media crap just shows up. But I want to just give everybody a perspective here in terms of what we're talking about in terms of distance. Okay, so here's the Florida East Coast. Okay, and here off the African coast, I mean, it literally just moved off overnight into this morning.
Still
Is
waiting
the
for the. Did you hit the map switch? Because
Oh, okay.
it's still just the two of us.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for telling me. Okay.
Just the two of
I
us.
forgot to do that.
We
Okay, there
can
you go.
make it if
But
we
I mean,
try.
yeah. I mean, look at the distance that we're talking about here. This is a very, very long distance of a system that is very, very, very far away. And we've got days and days to watch it play out. But I will say this, the wave is very well defined. Uh, there's a low. They've analyzed a low pressure area, so this may become a tropical depression or a tropical storm in the next 48 hours or even less.
Yes, and the excitement or the anxious um, notations I've saw as you did on social media, showing that many of the models, many of the long range models, have a very formidable tropical cyclone within striking distance of the North American coastline by about the 21st or 22nd of this month. How far away is that?
12 days from now.
And I mean, you know as well as I that a lot is going to happen between now and then as to where this thing might go or will go or what it's going to do. So why you know why suddenly go crazy over it now
Right. Well,
when
there's
so many
nothing
things
to go. Look, yeah, there's nothing to go crazy about now. Nothing. Okay. Whatever's out there is out there. We've got days and days and days of weather to get through first. And I do want to actually spend a little bit of time tonight to show everybody kind of what I think with all of this so far and what I've noticed in terms of analysis. And what I've put up here is the 500 millibars, 18,000 foot upper airflow of the European. And then I'm going to show you the GFS because, you know, I think when people look at these models and they see that one model's doing this and one model's doing that, uh, they don't know why. I mean, there's the same weather, the same data for the most part. I mean, there are some differences between the models in terms of the data and the equations and all the rest of it. But uh, why the disparities that show up. And I think when you analyze the upper air, you can sort of figure out what's happening. So I'm just going to point out the players, and I'm at 84 hours from now, which is Wednesday evening. Okay, so your tropical system is here, and I'll put a little E because Erin is the next name. That's a bad looking letter E. In the meantime, across the United States, you got this, and out in the Atlantic. Hold on, I got to do this again. Sorry about that. All right, so there's what what may be Erin. That's a better looking E, and then we've got the flow off the East Coast and out into the Atlantic. There's a fairly deep trough that's north of the Azores that runs south to the Canary, well north of the Azores that runs south to the Azores and points southward. But Erin's already bypassed that by the time we get to Wednesday. There is a trough off the East Coast. There is a trough in southern Canada from Hudson Bay that is moving weather systems along from west to east. And I want to show you what the European does. As we go through time, you can see there that you get a narrow but not too shabby ridge. It's an east-west ridge that builds from the Gulf of Mexico out into the Atlantic. And here's what may be Erin at this point, northeast, well northeast of the Leeward Islands. But it's underneath that ridge. So if it's underneath that ridge, as long as the ridge stays in place, it's going to basically try to move east to west. The westerlies in the upper atmosphere have retreated somewhat to about New York City and points north. So if the tropical system gets caught in that flow, it's going to move from west to east. But right now, by the time we get to the end of the week, it's moving in an east to west direction. Now, what happens is, at least this is the Europeans' view, in the north, the trough pulls out east of Newfoundland. The ridge weakens a bit. There's a bit of a weakness, but it's still, there's a fair amount of ridging out in the Atlantic. So it's still moving northwestward, and then it exploits a weakness that appears off the southeast coast by next Tuesday. And this is where, the upper airs of both models differ, because if you see what's happening in Canada, you've got a trough swinging through Labrador, and it kind of stays to the north. So this allows, at least in the Europeans' world, for this system to move up the coast. And actually, one of the interesting things about this, Joe, if you look at this, is that you get this, Erin goes by, then you get this deep trough that forms along 90 west. I mean, if the timing of the tropical system were a little bit different, and we were staring at an upper air that looked like this, the conversation might be going in an entirely different way with something that would try to move up the eastern seaboard. But as of right now, the timing is such that those two things are different. But yet there's enough of a weakness here and enough of a south-north push that the European wants to take it and make it a close shave to Cape Cod and Nantucket, and then it moves it out toward Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. But the GFS is different, and the difference is up in Canada, because what it does is it's got a much stronger trough in eastern Canada. And you'll see here where they kind of move in the same idea, but it exploits a weakness that appears sooner on the GFS, and it goes east of Bermuda, and then it goes up and out because of this strong trough that moves through Labrador and then moves out to between Labrador and Greenland. So probably both models are wrong to some extent in terms of what the upper air looks like. But it is a completely different setup with what the GFS has versus what the European has. Because if the GFS is right, maybe it gets to Bermuda or passes east, just east of Bermuda and goes out. If the European is right, then it might be much more of a threat.
It's interesting, though, that both models, GFS and European, both of them are suggesting that by the time we get to, let's say, as you mentioned, a week from Tuesday, somewhere in the Western Atlantic, there's going to be some sort of a very formidable tropical cyclone, one that is not just going to be one of these. Well, so far we've seen tropical systems to this point, A, B, C, D. So we've seen 4 of them so far. None of them have been anything to write home about. But this one looks like it's going to be one that's going to be very potent, It seems that it is going to be more than just a Cat 1, let's say. It could very well, if it reaches its full potential, as according to both GFS and European, could be one of those Cat 3 or maybe even a Cat 4 hurricane. So, in terms of the intensity, and I think that's what everybody is all excited about. That's what social media is jumping up and down about, especially those who want to see something cataclysmic happen. They say, "Oh,
God
look at that!
forbid,
And we're going to be
really,
looking at that
God
thing." And it is,
forbid.
yeah, that's the key. Not so much. I mean, yeah, the path is interesting enough, but the intensity is one. And they'll point to that and they say, "Well, look at that! Look at that! That's going to be. Oh, well, we're going to have to keep an eye on that, and we will. But it's still like 10 or 12 days
Yeah.
away, and
And
so many things can happen."
The European AI model has a much stronger east-west ridge from the Eastern Gulf to the Atlantic, and it just basically and actually somewhat strengthens it so that it takes a track that's further south of the other models, closer to the islands, but still north of the islands, and then it barrels it through the Bahamas and then brings it up the East Coast all the way up. I mean, it's an interesting setup, uh, and the Canadian is all somewhere in between. Here's the surface of the European AI. But look, the point of all of this is that we have no clue as to at this point, at this stage, how is the upper air going to set up in the eastern part of the United States, particularly up in Canada. That is to me where it's most important to see how that upper air sets up in eastern Canada, because that ultimately will determine what kind of upper air winds are we going to be seeing along the east coast from Florida to Maine, and whether this thing winds up getting far enough west where it gets caught in that flow and moves northward, or does it do a recurve much sooner because the ridge is not as strong as what the models are saying. So we're going to be like we're going to be doing this puzzle for days and days and days to come. But I mean, at least we know what the players are, which I think is really important. You just have to kind of know what the players are, and then you go from there.
And there you go. I mean, there's no, basically, and I've said this a number of times with a number of different scenarios, future scenarios that are like beyond 5 days. I wouldn't sweat this yet, folks. So
No,
don't
oh no,
be
there's
cheap.
nothing. Yeah, it's too early. It's way too
Yeah,
early.
way
It's
too
way
early
too
indeed.
early. So you can speculate all we're going to be speculating left and right until we get within 5 or 6 days out, and then we'll see. And yeah,
We'll
we'll see.
see.
And by the way, in terms of the on the intensity models, just to show everybody what they're doing, the intensity models have this as a tropical storm. Most of them have it as a tropical storm within 36 to 48 hours, and most of the models have it as a hurricane at 84 to 96 hours. So you're talking, maybe Thursday. And then you've got enough few of them that are getting up to category 3 and one that gets it up to a category 4. So there are also a few of them that are in the category 2 spot. So I think we could say, given the time of year, the climatology, and all the rest of it, that it's probably a good bet that this is going to get to at least a Cat 3.
Right, and I said this is the reason why all the excitement is going on. Everybody's looking at this and saying, "Oh, look at that! Oh, can you imagine? Oh, you know." All right, you can look at it and you can find it interesting, but I really don't think it's going to be amounting to all that much in the short term. In the long term, maybe, but we'll have to wait and see.
The hurricane track model guidance going out 168 hours, which would be 7 days. You can see it's tightly clustered at the beginning. They widen out. They widen out a bit when they get to about day 5, 6, and 7, which is what you would expect. Most of the models get it to 60 degrees west. A couple of them get close to 65 degrees west. There are a couple of them that never get it to 60 degrees west. So again, this is out to 7 days, and you know we can't really say too much more with respect to whatever's going to happen in the tropics. In the meantime, we've got flash flood warnings up in part two counties, one county in Iowa, one county in southern Wisconsin, and flash flood watches from northeast Missouri into southern Wisconsin, and also from west central Missouri back into Kansas. And we've got severe thunderstorm watches up in eastern Colorado, some heat advisories up in the west, and some heat advisories up into Maine and back home on the satellite loop. Again, you got that weird high cloudiness. It's like a parade of sticks of high clouds moving from northeast to southwest around probably some kind of upper high that's sitting in northern New England. And you've got moisture from the Gulf of Mexico into the southeast, into the Carolinas. Coastal Carolinas have been raining for days. But doesn't look like we have any rain in the forecast for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, Joe, until maybe late Wednesday when a frontal boundary is going to approach.
Yes, and hopefully, maybe later this week, after undergoing a period of heat and humidity, hopefully later this week we'll have a bit of relief coming our way in terms of, who knows, from this vantage point right now, next weekend looks like a pretty darn good weekend.
Two super chat hits. The chairman, Scott Briller, thank you very much for hitting super chat tonight. And Birder Lady hits the tip jar. Thank you very much for hitting super chat. Not a whole lot going on the radar tonight. We've been sort of, for the last week, it's been relatively tame for the most part. I mean, there have been exceptions, obviously. We've seen a fair amount of rain in the coastal Carolinas and also in parts of Florida. You can see it's patchy tonight with some rain offshore off South Carolina and North Carolina. Southern Georgia seeing some downpours and a few thunderstorms in in Florida. In the west, we've got some stronger storms coming out of Iowa. You see, there's where the flash flood warning is. There's some downpours around Chicago right now, also in central Illinois. There's some waning showers just exiting St. Louis. And south of Kansas City, we've got some showers and storms and a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in southeast Kansas and in west central Missouri. And still getting a lot of action in New Mexico, West Texas, and in eastern Colorado, east of I-25. This is where we have the severe thunderstorm watch, and you can see there are some severe thunderstorm warnings that have popped up there. The west is quiet. There's the risk zone tonight. It's all there. Not a whole lot of severe weather risk showing up around the country. And in fact, tomorrow, just two small areas of marginal risk, eastern North Dakota into Minnesota, eastern New Mexico into northwest Texas. No thunderstorms forecast from Maine to northern Virginia, west back to Ohio, and then southwest into Tennessee, Mississippi, and eastern Arkansas. And on day 3, there's no severe weather being forecast anywhere. As far as rain is concerned, tenth to a quarter. That's all they got from Maine to Virginia. There's an area of a half to 3/4 in east central PA and south central New York. A little bit more active in the southeast. Although I got to tell you, WPC, and I'm not casting any blame because I know they're watching. They watch every night on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast because they need to glean our expertise, and I get that. But I will tell you that last week they were showing many inches of rain for places in North Georgia that just didn't happen. I mean, we got some rain, but not the crazy, some of the really higher amounts that they were showing. But they are showing this week an area there of an inch and a half and even a 2 to 3 inch area that's in the extreme northeast corner of Georgia, which is east of me, into western North Carolina. Some heavier rains in coastal North and South Carolina, also down in Florida and along the Gulf Coast, also in Kansas and northern Oklahoma into southern Missouri, also in eastern North Dakota into Minnesota and northwest Wisconsin. But everybody else is doing okay. Doesn't look like these fronts are going to be big rain producers because you're going to have All the tropical moisture has really been pinned down in the southeast, and it doesn't really have a way to come up the east coast.
We have a question from William Huber on the chat board asking you, Joe, what's that blob off the west coast of Florida?
So that's part of what's out there, that's been out there pretty much all of last week and continues to just sit there. There's probably some kind of upper trough that's sitting there. In fact, if I just put up the 500 millibar, we could just take a look and see. I mean, there's very weak troughing, and you can see it here. There's a kink in that height line there that comes down from Tennessee into southern Georgia and then off the Florida coast, right in here. I'll just put a little axis on it. Here's your upper high to the west. Here's a trough in the west. You got a little bit of troughing moving into the western lakes. And there's sort of no man's land here in northern New England. So there's probably that's what it is. I mean, with respect to those high clouds, there's like a little bit of an upper high. In fact, uh, you look at the flow, and it's coming from the northeast in the upper atmosphere until you get to about Massachusetts, and then it swings out to the east. But in the southeast, as I showed you, you got this weak trough that's just been that little piece there. It's just been hanging and hanging and hanging, and it doesn't really go away. It just kind of stays there. And as we move through the week, I'm going to switch back now and just go to the precip and then bring up the European, because I think that's probably the better model to use here. You see the showers and storms. They actually diminish during most overnight hours, but the models seem to be forecasting them to hang on tonight. Meanwhile, in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states, nothing. I mean, you get the high just sort of settling off the New Jersey coast and not going anywhere fast. We move into Wednesday. You get an approaching front and upper trough, and this may set off some scattered showers and storms. The European really doesn't go crazy with them. And then on Thursday, there might be a chance that there might be one or two showers or storms that linger until you can get the whole front to go by. And then it's another high in eastern Canada with another setup with east winds, and that's going to hold temperatures down quite somewhat. Probably by the time we get to Friday, ahead of it, it's going to get very warm to hot conditions and humid conditions as well. And then you get a break, and then if you look at next weekend, for you anyway, it looks pretty good.
Well, I don't really care. I do care. I don't really mind. Will be willing to put up with a little bit of heat and humidity during this week, so long as I'm sure a lot of people out there would agree with me. We get a good weekend, another good weekend, another comfortable weekend. I ran into any number of people over the last few days. I have a friend of mine who lives in Boynton Beach, Florida, Joe, and we're
Well,
going to meet.
my brother lives in Boynton Beach.
Oh, well, maybe they know each other. Anyway, we're going to meet together tomorrow in Connecticut for a nice little lunch. Haven't seen him in 3 years in the flesh, but all he's been saying to me ever since he came north a few days ago is, "My God, it's wonderful up here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful."
When
And you know,
when Floridians come here, we have a lot of people that live in Florida and come up here in the summertime. And yeah, the difference is quite noticeable.
absolutely. I said, isn't it nice to actually be able to step outside of your home in midday and not, immediately break a sweat. And I know we've had our fair share over this weekend, not over this weekend, but over this summer of days where it has been very oppressive, very sticky and sweaty, if you will. I saw something. I didn't get a chance to read it, but some press release or news release said something to the effect like this has been one of the most humid summers east of the Mississippi in many, many years. And
I don't know
I
about
would
that.
I might go with that for part of the summer. There were some parts of the summer where it was really, but I mean for the whole summer, I don't think so. But this weekend, the last few days have been great. And hey, if we can do it again next weekend or later next week, I'm all for it.
You bring up a point that I wanted to mention last week and I forgot, but I read a very interesting article, and you and I, we've talked about this in the wintertime We ask the question comes up, people that live in areas where it gets down to 20 to below, 30 below, 40 below, and we ask ourselves, how do you function? And we talk about the fact that the body gets acclimated to that sort of stuff. Um, but what this article was interesting was about talking about why does it seem that more people now don't handle the heat as well as, say, folks back in the 70s and 60s and 50s. And he points out that, and I think there's a lot of truth to this. I mean, he points out the fact that, you know, most people now work in these, not just these days, it's been like this for quite a while. But when you're in an office, everybody's air conditioned. So you're in an office all day where it's like a comfortable 72 degrees or whatever it is. And then you go out and you're in the office all day. Maybe you never get to go outside. I mean, you and I, when we worked, I always made it a point to go outside at least for a while. But when you're in a cool environment like that, your body is not used to it when you go outside and suddenly you hit a wall and it's 90 degrees or the humidity is very, very high. So it's sort of the whole acclimation idea is that in general, a larger portion of the population now is not acclimated to heat like maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Absolutely, and you get spoiled. That's basically the rule here. You get spoiled about all of that air conditioning and cool weather. Kind of makes me remember the TV show Married with Children, and there was one episode I think where their air conditioning broke, and so what did they do? They brought all of their beach equipment to the supermarket, and they just set everything up in the supermarket because, as you know, if you go to a supermarket, especially during a period of hot weather, that's a great place to cool off. It's always cool inside of course, to keep the food at a reasonable. And here you had the cast just setting up and laying down on lounge chairs in the middle of a supermarket, enjoying the cool temperatures from the air conditioning.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Or you go to the mall
Or you can
and
go to a library,
or a
which
library.
nobody wants to go to a library. Why would I go to a library to read?
Oh,
You
good
know?
God, no.
Yes.
All right, let's do a little Briller Jeopardy. And tonight is top the top. Actually, he says top 10, but he actually listed 11. So the let's call it the top 11 hurricanes measured by the highest wind speed. Now, just to be clear, it's the highest wind speed reported on an advisory. It is not according to the highest wind speed that was measured anywhere on land,
Actually reported.
actually recorded. So this is
Yes.
I mean, it might have been measured by an Air Force reconnaissance aircraft or done off a satellite estimate. Um, so we're going with the highest winds that were recorded in a particular storm with respect to the advisory. So
Now these are the sustained winds or the maximum gusts?
sustained.
Sustained.
So we start with Steve, who says Andrew, and Andrew is number 10 in 1992 at 175.
Okay. Well, of course we have to mention Katrina on this list.
Yes, and Katrina is number 9, also at four storms are tied. That's why he's got 11 here. Four storms are tied at 175, and Katrina and Andrew are two of them. Just looking.
Raymond O'Hara says Mitch.
Um, Mitch is. Let me double check this list. Mitch is not on this list. Okay,
Wow.
Mitch is not on this list. Frank R. Camille is not on this list. Okay. Again, the 175 is the bottom. So the storms that we just mentioned probably fall just beneath that. Bobby Livingsworth Michael is not on the list. Christina Pedia Bell is nowhere close to the list. Um,
Bell? She said
Bell,
Bell?
Bell, yes.
This is the anniversary, by the way, of Bell. This is the 49th anniversary of Bell coming on shore and moving across Long Island Sound and into Connecticut. Yeah, Bell was one of those tight little compact storms, and
Yeah.
certainly be nowhere near up there in terms of uh, sustained strong winds.
J Dog has Milton, and Milton is number 7 at 180. And Kenny Salerno and Jason Fox and probably a few others mentioned Hurricane Allen. Allen is number 1 at 190 on the advisory.
Allen is the one that was in the Gulf of Mexico in July of 1980, I believe, right?
That is correct. Hugo's not on the list, but William Uber's got Wilma, and Wilma is on the list at number 4 at 2005.
And what was Wilmer's wind speed?
185.
185. Wow.
Rich Rothmansky with Gilbert. Gilbert is number three, and Owen D23 with Maria. Maria is number 11 at 175. So we've got Maria, Andrew, Katrina all at 175, 11, 10, 9. So there's one more for 175. Jason Fox, Dorian is number 2 at 185. So we've got 2 left, number 5 and number 8. And by the way, this is all time. There is one storm in here that is before they named hurricanes.
Did we mention Rita?
Rita, Joe, is number 8, which completes the 175 list of 4. So we're down to one storm, number 5, and I just gave you a hint. It's in the pre-named storm era, and Frank R. gets it. It is the 1935, not 33, 35 Labor Day hurricane in the Florida Keys, 185.
Wow.
Was the winds for that. So there you go. It's all hurricanes all the time.
Yes. And we'll
10.
see. And I remember with Gloria, the strength that Gloria had out in the middle of the Atlantic. I mean, nowhere near land or anything. I think it was it was designated as at that time the strongest Atlantic hurricane that had ever been seen
In the Atlantic, in the Atlantic.
in the Atlantic
Right.
basin. Yeah.
Not counting the storms in the Gulf of Mexico or in the Caribbean.
And of course, not accounting for the fact that as it came north, would have passed over much cooler water, and also was subjected to some wind shear, which knocked the intensity down quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
it got to a Cat 5. I think it got to 918 millibars. So it got to a Cat 5. But yeah, it wasn't moving fast enough as it moved up the eastern seaboard, and the colder water just really took its toll.
I remember Dr. Neil Frank was doing interview after interview after interview, warning people along the Atlantic seaboard about what this storm could do. And then when the storm came and went, there were a lot of people who were pointing fingers at Dr. Frank and saying, well, what happened? And after all that, I said to myself, what are you upset that you didn't have the destruction that?
Well, that's what I always tell people when I always tell people when I see posts, and they may put a comment about not getting nothing happened, and that's how I always answer it. I'm sorry. I am so dreadfully sorry that you didn't get the tragedy you were looking for. Maybe next time you'll be more lucky.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I remember Ed Koch, who was the mayor of New York, and New York picked up some brief heavy rains and some strong gusty winds, and that was about that. And here's Ed Koch in the aftermath of the storm, walking up and down the streets of New York and screaming at the top of his lungs, We scared the heck out of the blankety blank hurricane.
Yes, exactly. All right. Coming up on 8:17 Eastern Time, I think we can wrap it up for tonight. So hope everybody is now prepared for the week ahead and for the bombardment of constant posts from social media. Just walk away from it and then just wait till 7:35 tomorrow night. And
No, no, no.
I'm sorry, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. As I
Eight
mentioned
o'clock
earlier,
tomorrow night.
as I
Okay.
mentioned earlier, my friend is who lives in Florida is going to be visiting or is visiting right now, and we're going to meet up near Danbury, Connecticut, where he's currently staying. And it's a fair chance I would be back in time at 7:35, but I want to bank another 30 minutes or so, just in case traffic and I don't get back quite in time. So tomorrow night show is put off until 8 o'clock.
So we'll see everybody tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Have a good rest of your Sunday evening and nighty night.
Good night, folks.